All right, let's dive deep into something everyone's talking about, writing about, even building whole industries around: attracting women.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we're opening up Magnetic Charisma,
Hmm.
this book, How to Effortlessly Attract Women and Become the Alpha Male Women Can't Resist. But, we're not here to say it's right or wrong.
Right.
We're like cultural anthropologists. Like, we found this artifact, and now we're going to figure out what it says about how people see masculinity, attraction, all that.
Yeah. It's like looking into a mirror, seeing all of society's anxieties,
Yeah.
assumptions.
Yeah.
And this book, with it's bold,
Oh, yeah.
provocative language, definitely gives us a lot to unpack.
It jumps right in saying men struggle with women for like four main reasons. First, they say it's society pressuring men to impress women, like you need their validation.
Okay.
Second is how movies, TV, all that don't show female attraction realistically.
Right, right,
Third is the whole nice guy thing, which they say is a total dating killer.
right.
And lastly, assuming women are attracted to the same things men are, mostly looks.
Interesting how they set up this like us versus them right away.
Yeah,
Blaming society, media, even women themselves.
right.
But instead of getting stuck on blame,
Mm.
I think this is a chance to understand what's really going on, the psychology, the social forces, all that deeper stuff.
So their main argument is that attraction works like a magnet. You need opposite polarities, masculine and feminine.
Okay, yeah.
But then, and this is where it gets interesting, they say we're losing that polarity nowadays, women becoming more masculine, men more feminine. What do you think about that decline in polarity idea?
Well, it's a common idea in some groups. Often it's like they're looking back at traditional gender roles with rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder, do those old-school masculine traits really make someone more attractive? And what about people who don't fit neatly into masculine or feminine boxes?
Right.
Are they somehow less desirable? I feel like this book oversimplifies what's actually a really complex issue.
Yeah, like there's only one right way to be masculine or feminine.
Right.
So how do they even define masculinity? What kind of behaviors do they say men should have?
They push things like being assertive, taking charge, not needing anyone else's approval, having some big goal in life that's not all about relationships.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff, like being ambitious, confident, that can be appealing in anyone.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. But this book, it really pushes this whole alpha male image, which is where I think things get a little tricky.
Yeah, because that confidence, assertiveness can easily tip over into arrogance, even aggression.
Exactly.
And that leads us to how they criticize nice guys. They basically say being nice is the biggest turnoff. What's your take on that whole nice guy stereotype?
Often it comes from this idea that being nice means you deserve romantic attention.
Ah,
But attraction doesn't work like that. You can't earn it.
right.
And a lot of times what seems like niceness is actually covering up insecurities or just not being genuine. It's not about being superficially nice. It's about actually being kind and respectful.
This feels like a good time to bring you, the listener, into this. What really makes someone attractive to you? Is it fitting into these gender roles, or is it something more? We want to know. Now, this book gets into subcommunication, which is the idea that you can do the same thing, but it means different things based on why you're doing it. They use approaching someone as an example. If you're direct, that equals confidence. Indirect means you're timid. What's the psychology behind that?
It's fascinating how our subconscious picks up on these little things that often contradict what we're actually saying. Think about body language, someone's tone of voice, even if they make eye contact.
Yeah.
Those all send messages that can make or break attraction.
It's true. Like they say, actions speak louder than words.
Exactly.
Then they say, men should let women be feminine, which sounds okay on the surface. But they seem to define feminine as being passive, submissive. Yeah.
They even use that scene from The Tourist as an example,
Oh, right.
where Angelina Jolie tells Johnny Depp to stop asking questions and just tell her what to do.
Yeah, that's where alarm bells should be going off. This idea that women secretly want to be controlled is not only wrong, it can be dangerous.
Yeah.
It reinforces these outdated power dynamics and this myth that a healthy relationship is about one person being in charge.
Definitely not the message we want to be putting out there. They
Yeah.
also praise men who have priorities beyond women, using Julius Caesar as their example. Apparently conquering empires was his main thing, and he was still a legendary seducer.
It's interesting how they tie that back to the idea of scarcity. Like, the less available you are, the more people want you.
Yeah.
And while there's some truth to that psychologically, This book seems to say you should use it to manipulate people, which, can really hurt relationships.
So instead of these mind games, it's more about building real connection, trust.
But the book keeps pushing this take charge attitude for dating. Asking someone out, planning the date, even being physically intimate, it's all about the man leading. What are the implications of that mindset?
While taking initiative can be good, the way they frame it totally ignores consent and mutual respect.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying men should control everything without even considering the other person's feelings or boundaries.
It feels like they're saying relationships are about conquering, which is, a pretty outdated and honestly unhealthy way to see things.
Oh, for sure. Healthy relationships,
Yeah.
they're built on working together, not control. It's two equals, both respecting what the other person needs, wants.
Now, about communication, they do have some advice that, if you take it out of context, could be helpful. For example, they say, don't try so hard to impress, ask questions instead of making statements. And then there's this whole give a dog a good name idea. What do they even mean by that?
So it's like you're setting these good expectations for someone, almost planting seeds for them to live up to. There's some interesting psychology behind it. And it's not always a bad thing. Like, think about positive reinforcement. You believe in someone, you treat them like they have these good qualities, and they might actually start showing those qualities more.
So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But this book, they make it sound manipulative, like you're trying to mold someone into your perfect partner.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where it crosses a line. Good relationships are about helping each other grow, genuinely connect, not turning someone into your puppet.
Right.
Don't try to change someone. Appreciate who they are and help them be their best self.
Feels like they're missing the whole point. It's not about winning someone over. It's about that real connection, understanding what makes two people click on a deeper level.
That's it. And that brings us to, I think, one of the biggest things this book misses: emotional intelligence. They're all about the outward stuff, techniques, but they totally forget about the inner work that goes into building a relationship that's healthy, that actually makes you happy.
It's interesting. They talk about confidence, but it's all about looking strong, dominant, not about that inner confidence that comes from truly believing in yourself.
And that's where it gets messy. True confidence, it comes from accepting yourself, knowing your worth, not trying to fit into someone else's idea of what you should be.
Yeah.
It's about owning who you are, even the imperfections, and not needing others to tell you you're good enough.
So not fake it till you make it, like they say, but actually embracing who you are, letting that real you come through when you're interacting with people. What about this whole being a challenge thing they talk about?
Yes. That's the idea that women get bored if a man is too easy to read, too agreeable.
Okay.
So they say, be mysterious, act a little distant, even unavailable.
Sounds a lot like playing hard to get, which honestly can be super frustrating and confusing.
Exactly. A little mystery can be interesting, sure, but intentionally holding back your attention, your affection, just to manipulate someone, that's never a good idea. It creates all this insecurity, power imbalances, instead of a real connection.
So no mind games. Just be yourself, let things develop naturally. What do they say about dealing with rejection?
They say, see it as a chance to grow, don't take it personally.
That actually sounds pretty good.
It is. Rejection is part of life. Everyone goes through it.
Yeah.
It's all about how you handle it. Don't let it destroy your confidence. Look at it as a learning experience, a chance to think about what you might do differently next time.
So it's a stepping stone, not a failure. What about their advice on being non-needy?
They claim women don't like men who are clingy, always needing attention.
That's interesting, but isn't there a difference between being needy and just, telling someone what you need, what you want in a relationship?
Big difference. It's totally fine to want love, appreciation.
Right.
Is how you express that. Being non-needy isn't about bottling up your feelings or pretending you don't care.
Okay.
It's about having that healthy self-worth, not needing others to validate you.
So it's a balance, being independent but also able to connect with someone emotionally. What about physical attraction? What's their take on that?
They're all about building muscle, having that stereotypical masculine look.
It's like they have this super narrow idea of what's attractive.
Right. Attraction is subjective.
Yeah.
It's different for everyone. There's no one right way to look.
Yeah.
The important thing is feeling good about yourself, being comfortable in your own skin.
So forget about trying to fit into some made-up standard of beauty.
Exactly.
Take care of yourself, love your unique features, and find someone who appreciates you inside and out.
Absolutely. And that brings up something huge that this book misses. Emotional intimacy.
Yeah, they're so fixated on the physical, they forget about connecting with someone on a deeper level emotionally.
Totally. Emotional intimacy is about feeling safe enough to be vulnerable, to share your hopes and fears, dreams, disappointments, all of it.
It's being seen, heard, understood, not just physically desired.
Exactly. And that takes time, effort, being willing to be open and honest with each other.
Now, they do talk about communication, but they present it in this, I don't know, manipulative way. They tell men to use techniques like mirroring and leading to control the conversation and get the woman to do what they want.
It's like they see communication as a game you have to win, not a way to connect with another human being.
Right, not about winning an argument or always getting your way.
Exactly. It's about finding common ground, understanding each other's point of view, and working together to solve problems so that both people benefit.
They also stress being a man of action. What's that all about?
It's about being decisive, taking initiative, getting things done.
Okay.
They see being passive as a huge turnoff.
While taking charge can be good, it seems like they're pushing a very dominant, assertive style, which might not be for everyone.
Exactly. Remember, there's no one right way to be in a relationship. The most important thing is being true to yourself and finding someone who likes you for who you are. Speaking of being genuine, they do have some communication tips that, if you take them the right way, could actually be useful.
Oh, like what?
Well, for instance, they say, don't try so hard to impress. Ask questions instead of just talking about yourself. And there's that whole giving a dog a good name idea. What's your take on that?
So they're saying if you treat someone like they have these positive qualities, they'll actually start to show them more.
Yeah, it's about setting those positive expectations, like planting seeds for them to grow into.
Interesting.
Now, there is some psychology to it.
Yeah.
Think about positive reinforcement, right?
Okay. Yeah.
If you believe in someone, treat them like they have good qualities, they might actually start living up to those expectations.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing.
Okay.
But this book, again, makes it sound manipulative, like you're trying to turn someone into the person you want them to be.
Exactly, and that's where it crosses the line. Healthy relationships, they're about genuine growth, connecting for who you both are, not about creating some ideal version of someone.
Right. Appreciate them for who they are and help them be their best self, not the self you want them to be.
Yeah.
It seems like, again and again, this book misses the mark. It's not about winning or conquering. It's about getting what really makes people connect on a deeper level.
You got it. And that takes us back to what this book just doesn't get. Emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
All those techniques, the outward stuff, it means nothing if you don't do the inner work, the stuff that actually builds healthy, happy relationships.
It's fascinating how they talk about confidence, but it's all about appearing strong, dominant, not about cultivating real self-assurance, from within.
Yeah, and that's a problem. True confidence comes from accepting yourself, knowing your worth, not trying to fit into someone else's mold.
Right.
It's about owning who you are, even the imperfections, and not needing others to tell you you're good enough.
So not fake it till you make it, like the book says, but really embracing who you are, letting that come through when you're interacting with people.
Exactly.
What about this idea of being a challenge that they emphasize so much?
Ah, yes. It's based on the idea that women get bored with men who are too predictable, too agreeable.
Okay.
They tell men to be mysterious, aloof, even a little unavailable.
So basically playing hard to get, which honestly can be super frustrating and confusing for the other person.
Exactly. A little mystery can be intriguing, sure. But intentionally holding back your attention, your affection, just to manipulate someone, that's never a good idea. Creates all this insecurity, power imbalances, instead of a real connection.
So ditch the mind games. Just be yourself, let things happen naturally. What's their advice when it comes to handling rejection?
They actually have pretty good advice on this one. They say to see rejection as a chance to grow, don't take it personally.
Yeah, that's pretty solid advice.
It is.
Yeah.
Rejection, it's part of life. Everyone goes through it at some point.
True.
What matters is how you handle it. Don't let it crush you. See it as a learning experience. Think about what you could do differently next time.
So a stepping stone, not the end of the world. What do they say about being non-needy?
Their take is that women aren't attracted to men who are clingy, always wanting attention.
That's an interesting point, but isn't there a difference between being needy and simply expressing what you need, what you want in a relationship?
There's a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's totally normal to want love, appreciation.
Right.
It's how you express those needs that matters.
Right.
Being non-needy isn't about burying your feelings or pretending you don't care.
Okay, yeah.
It's about having healthy self-worth, not relying on others to make you feel good about yourself.
So it's about finding that balance, being independent, but also being able to connect with someone on an emotional level. What's their perspective on physical attraction?
They're really focused on building muscle, having that classic masculine look.
It sounds like a pretty limited view of what's attractive.
Totally. Attraction is subjective. What one person finds attractive, another might not.
Right.
There's no one right way to look.
Yeah.
The important thing is feeling good about yourself, being comfortable in your own skin.
So it's not about conforming to some arbitrary standard of beauty. It's about taking care of yourself, loving what makes you unique, and finding someone who appreciates you for you, both inside and out.
Absolutely. And that highlights something this book seems to miss completely. Emotional intimacy.
Yeah, they're so focused on the physical, they forget about connecting with someone on a deeper level emotionally.
Exactly. Emotional intimacy, it's about feeling safe and comfortable enough to be vulnerable, to share your hopes, fears, dreams, disappointments, everything.
It's about feeling seen, heard, understood, not just physically desired.
That's it. And that takes time, effort, being willing to be open and honest with each other.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things they spend a lot of time on is this whole building rapport thing,
Yeah.
saying it's the key to attracting women.
Okay. So what's their take on that?
They're big on asking questions instead of making statements, almost like you're supposed to guess what a woman's thinking or feeling.
Interesting.
They even talk about mirroring her behavior, her energy to create that connection.
But, while asking questions and showing genuine interest is important, the way they present it almost feels manipulative.
Right. Like you're using these techniques to gain her trust and then...
Yeah, use it for your own advantage.
Exactly. It's all strategy tactics, not genuine connection.
Right. What about their emphasis on storytelling? They seem to think that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. They argue that women are really drawn to men who can tell captivating stories.
I mean, there's some truth to that, right? A good storyteller can make you feel like you're right there with them, experiencing everything they're describing.
Exactly. It creates that sense of connection, shared emotion. But this book makes it sound like it's just another tool, another way to impress and seduce.
So it's more about performance than authenticity, more about presentation than really connecting.
Exactly.
What do they have to say about being a good provider? I'm curious about their take on that.
They're very focused on money. They encourage men to focus on making a lot of money, buying women expensive gifts.
Sounds like they're connecting financial success with attractiveness, which, seems pretty shallow.
Yeah, it's a pretty materialistic way to look at things.
Totally. Being a good provider is about so much more than just money, right? It's about being reliable, responsible, supportive.
Exactly. It's about being there for someone, emotionally, physically, financially. It's not just about showering them with gifts.
Right. It's about building a life together based on mutual respect, love, and support, not just superficial stuff.
Exactly. And that brings up another important piece that this book totally misses. Shared values.
They seem so fixated on all the external things, they forget about that deeper connection that comes from shared beliefs, common principles.
Yeah. Shared values, they're like the foundation of any strong, lasting relationship.
Right. It's more than just finding someone who's fun to be around or makes you feel good in the moment.
Absolutely. When you and your partner see eye to eye on the things that really matter, it creates a sense of purpose, a unity that goes way beyond surface-level attraction.
So it's about finding someone who shares your vision for the future, who supports your growth as a person.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to one of the biggest things this book overlooks, personal growth.
Yeah, it's like they're so focused on getting the girl that they forget the most attractive thing you can do is work on yourself, become the best version of you.
Exactly. Personal growth, it's an ongoing journey. It's about self-discovery, self-improvement. When you're constantly learning, growing, striving to be your best, it shows. It impacts everything, from your relationships to your work, your whole outlook on life.
And that makes you a more interesting, engaging, and, yes, attractive person to be around.
Absolutely. So we've spent all this time diving deep into this book, its take on attraction, masculinity. But I'm really curious, what about you, the listener? What parts resonated with you? What are your thoughts on their approach?
Yeah, what stood out? Did you agree with anything? Disagree completely?
Here's something to think about. If we accept that a lot of attraction is driven by these subconscious things like body language, subtle cues, how can WE become more aware of the messages we're sending?
That's such a great point. It's all about self-awareness, really paying attention to those little things. Maybe it's time we all took a closer look at how we communicate and how that impacts how people see us, how they connect with us.
It's a fascinating thing to explore.
Well,
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into magnetic charisma. Hopefully it's given you some things to think about, maybe even inspired you to take a closer look at how you approach relationships.
we'd love to hear your thoughts, share your takeaways on social media. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep exploring and keep connecting.